I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. It's been the weather's been nice lately. It was raining yesterday and we got some sun back today, so I'm
I
very
know.
glad
It's
about that.
good. Yeah, it's sunny here in LA, thankfully, but it's definitely cooling off, which I'm kind of happy about because I'm like
Yeah, we're kind of
sweater weather.
done with the like super hot summer days, like the
Exactly.
100 degrees, that heat wave. I guess that heat wave was almost like 2 months ago now, but it feels like just yesterday. So
Time just doesn't make sense in quarantine. I feel like
it
every
makes no sense.
day just doesn't.
And
Yeah.
the weirdest thing is sometimes it goes by faster, which is so, like, not what you would think, but I've noticed, like, in a way, it almost has gone by faster, but then I, like, really think about it and it's like, no, it hasn't.
Weird. It's a mixture. It definitely feels like it's moving in slow motion, but then also fast forward at the same time. So it doesn't really make any sense, but here we are, and it's
Yeah,
almost
here
20.
we are, everyone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, you've definitely been, staying busy in quarantine and just in life in general. I was going through your Instagram and your bio, and I haven't asked this question, to an artist in a while, and it's somewhat voyeuristic, you could say, but that's just how I am. Um, do you think your music would be at all different if you lived somewhere else, not LA? Because I think in LA you kind of have
Yeah,
you have more influences and more like Hollywood like influences being fed to you, whereas if you live somewhere else like where music isn't big, you don't have that to go off of. So
totally. I think that's a great question. I mean, I grew up in Los Angeles, so I think that it 100% has influenced me in my entire life with the way I live, with the way I write my music, with the way I sing it, the way I perform it. I definitely think there's a lot of influences in that because, especially because, my dad was a musician as well. He was in a band. So I think I just kind of grew up around that environment. I went to high school in North Hollywood, which was very music focused. And then, I went to college at Emerson in Boston, which is very entertainment driven in general.
mhm.
So I think all of these influences in general have just allowed me to kind of get more creative in a sense because I am surrounded by such creative minds and talented musicians, photographers, directors, videographers, where it allows me to kind of push my limits a little bit and like push those buttons and see what works, what doesn't work, get creative, think outside of the box a bit. And I think if I didn't have this environment to live in, I don't necessarily think that my music would be where it is today because I think
Mhm.
I'd be a little bit more comfortable. Maybe
Yeah.
I this is my assumption. I don't know because I've never lived anywhere else, but I
Yeah.
definitely think like I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to grow up in LA and kind of be in this environment right now in the midst of all of my music being
Mhm.
really
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I think that a lot of times when artists maybe relocate to LA, they have all the other influences and they can write songs about like missing their hometown, which I love so
yeah.
much. So I was just wondering for you, it's kind of the opposite. You don't really have that small town vibe to go off of that we see so much
No.
with successful artists. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that's the beauty of the music industry in general, though. I think there are so many different backgrounds, so many different stories that we've all lived and life experiences that we've all kind of gone through, which makes it so diverse and different and unique. If we all came from a small town and became musicians or whatever, then it would kind of get a little redundant, So I
yeah.
think it is kind of nice to have something different, have something unique, and vice versa too. I mean, if we all were from LA, then no one would want to listen to every musician because it doesn't seem real or raw. So I think that's kind of the beauty of it. It's like everyone has their own story, and
Mhm.
this happens to be mine, and I'm grateful that it even got me where I am now.
Yeah, and what a great story to be born and raised in LA. So I love it. I love it. Um
My family, is here and everything. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, oh, I love LA. And you were also talking about, just like in your bio and stuff, how music truly works wonders when words can't, or lyrics, I should say. Lyrics are words, like literally, but there is something about singing it rather than speaking it that
Totally.
allows people to be so much more vulnerable. And I'm wondering, do you have any insight into why that is? Because again, I couldn't speak for it because I don't write music and I'm so curious.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's such a good thing to touch on because people who don't necessarily write music, like you, for example, like if you don't write music, it's hard to kind of understand why, for some reason, this specific outlet is really therapeutic. And it's a good
Mhm.
way to express yourself when you might not be able to do that in a regular conversation. For me, I think, I mean, I'm not speaking for everyone else because I don't know everyone else's experience when they write, but for me, when I'm writing my songs, it's just a way for me to kind of slow down. It's almost like going through quarantine a little bit because, you know, before quarantine, we were all so fast paced. Everything was moving in such a quick way. And I think when we finally got a second to step back and slow down and see what was actually important, that's when people were able to figure out what's really important and what really matters to them and kind of like tap into sides of their brains, maybe like their creative side that they weren't able to really tap into before. And for me, music, it's like that opportunity to kind of slow down and not have to
Mhm.
worry about what other people are thinking. It's just me, my guitar, myself. I normally write most of my songs in my apartment and I live alone. So it's nice for me to kind of just feel those emotions and express myself in a way that is raw and real. And there's no filter on it because no
Mhm.
one's listening. You know, it's just
Yeah.
me, my own thoughts. And when I get stuck with my thoughts and when I really slow down and think about what I'm going through and what I'm feeling in that moment, that is what gives me the ability to write a song that really just speaks to me and has more of an emotional attachment to me. Like Call It Quits and Burn, my two singles that are out right now, those ones were, they had a really intense mental, emotional pull for me because I was going through something really intense at the moment when I wrote it. And so for those, and for every song I write, even if I'm going through something exciting or happy or exhilarating, I write about those feelings and they just are real and raw. There's no filter on it. There's no facade that I'm trying to like portray to someone. It's really just like me and my guitar. And so it feels therapeutic. It's almost like
Mhm.
a therapy session and you don't feel judged. You don't feel like someone is, whatever you say next, it's okay. It's okay to feel what you're feeling, or it's okay to say what you're going to say. And that's kind of how I feel with music. And I think that's why I'm able to write meaningful, like deep emotional lyrics versus saying them in a normal conversation, you
Mhm.
know?
It's so powerful, and I applaud that you've been able to even discover that music beyond just you're an amazing talented singer. It speaks to you.
Yeah.
Of course, it speaks to you. It speaks to people listening. And it's very powerful and even therapeutic for others to know that other people are going through the same thing, and you know it's not just like a song that someone else wrote for them as their first single. It's you. You know, it's literally you.
Exactly. And that is like one of the biggest things that I want to give to anyone listening to my song. I want them to know it's okay to feel what you're feeling. You're not alone. Other people go through what you're going through, whether it's a negative emotion or a positive emotion. Other people are going through it. And there's some comfort in knowing that there are other people who have experienced what you're experiencing currently or what you've experienced in the past. And there's comfort in that. And so I want people to understand that it's okay to feel whatever is going on in that moment. Cause that's how I write my music. It's in the moment, it like allows me to just be present with my thoughts, which
Mhm.
normally I'm not because so many things are going on at one time. I'm thinking about a million things. So I just think about the future or maybe what happened in the past, maybe what someone said to me, or I don't know, you know, it's just people get in their heads and sometimes your inner voice can be a little bit mean.
Oh, yeah.
One of my songs just started playing.
I
I
love it.
don't know whose song it is. Oh, it stopped. Okay. Sometimes does your iTunes ever just start randomly playing music?
Yes, or like a YouTube ad starts playing that I
Yes.
use,
I'm like, how
but
did that happen?
it's so
Anyway,
weird.
that was a good song. So I think
Yeah,
that was
exactly.
the best song, which I love her. So it works.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
I think
yeah.
it's important. It's important to like know that other people go through it. And I think that's why I write most of my music in general.
Yeah, and I love how you said it can also be a positive emotion because it's also important to rejoice if someone else
Totally.
went through a really rough day and or got a really tough like job interview when they got the job. Like it's also great to rejoice in those moments. I think so often with empathy, and I'm guilty of this, it's always like other people have gone through it too, but then you forget, well, other people have also gone through love and all these other things. So,
Exactly. And I think that's also why I write the way I write, because a lot of my songs, there is a positive spin on it. There's meant to be this empowering moment in the song where, you know, for Call It Quits, you're literally like, get my shit off the couch. And, you know, there's these lines in that song that are basically meant to fill you with power and fill you with strength, because that's
Mhm.
what I was going through in that moment. It was closure for me from one chapter in my life. And so, same with Burn. Burn was this therapeutic moment where I was just like, let everything negative in my life burn. So it was meant to be this empowering, uplifting moment in the songs when I was writing it. And I think that's important too, because you do have like the negative sides of it where it was like, yeah, we obviously went through something difficult and it wasn't easy. And then you come out on the other side feeling better, stronger, more positive, and empowered. And I think that's kind of why I write the way I write. Uh,
Mhm.
but I definitely have other songs coming soon and that are different message. So you'll see those. But yeah, it's important to write what you're feeling, I think.
I'm so excited. And I actually did want to dive a little bit deeper into Call It Quits and Then Burn. For Call It Quits, what lyric do you think was most hard for you to end up keeping in? Like you might be writing your thoughts, but which one was like, oh shoot, do I want to reveal this side of me?
The hardest lyric for me when I wrote it and what made me emotional when I wrote Call It Quits was I'm not me when I'm with you, because I think that's a hard thing to admit. And it was
Yeah.
really, yeah, you know, it's like, because in my mind, I always thought I'm never going to be that person who's in a negative relationship, who's allowing someone to treat me in this way that makes me unhappy or makes me feel like I'm not myself. And in this particular situation that I was in, it really felt like one of those out of body experiences where you kind of look back after it and you think to yourself, okay, that wasn't me at all. That's not who I am. I didn't act like myself. And you finally get that clarity from taking time away from it and spacing it out, essentially, like not being in that person's life anymore. I think that lyric to me really hit home because I like to think I'm a very independent person who has gone through a lot of things in my life, and I'm happy and I'm proud of myself for going through what I've gone through and coming out on the other side of it, because I think that's the most important thing. I mean, we all go through a lot of negative things in our lives. So it's kind of how you get to where you are now and can you get through that kind of thing. And for me, that lyric just like really hit home for me. And I think that is where I felt the most closure in the song. And it also made me feel the most vulnerable with writing the song, because I just felt like when you go through something like that, it's just, you just feel like you're not yourself. You know, I'm not me when I'm with you. And that's like so simple to the point, but it really like took a lot out of me to get that lyric across, I think.
Yeah, and me just like consuming it and consuming what you just said, like I realized, wow, I went through the same thing. It goes back to empathy and relatability. Mine was with a friend, not a boyfriend or like a relationship, but
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to admit that
Yeah, it is.
you're putting on a facade.
Yeah, you try and act like someone else, and you don't really notice it in the moment either.
You
You
don't.
really don't. And the second you get out of that, that's when you start to come to terms with what was going on. You become a little bit more self-aware, and I think that's where you grow the most. And so for me, admitting that to myself through my song and through the lyrics allowed me to grow a little bit more. So that's why I felt this like weight was lifted when I wrote the song. I just felt this like release of energies, and that one specific lyric definitely hit me a little harder than all the other ones.
Yeah, me too. I'm like getting like very emotional. No, I
It's
think it's
hard. It's
important
so
because
hard.
you know when the person I'm thinking of, I remember every time I would hang out, like I would get nervous right before. And looking back, is it like because I felt like I needed to be someone else? I don't know. So,
It's like it's interesting to think about it, you know, and to reflect on that moment, because that gives you the clarity and that gives you kind of like the ability to progress and move forward and
yeah.
allow yourself to understand what happened, and then hopefully potentially know moving forward when it's going to happen again, so that you can like either prevent it from happening or be just more self-aware when it happens, you know.
Yeah, and I can, sense like just how I'm feeling and know if it might be time
Again.
for me to reevaluate something. So
Exactly, exactly. That was a great question. I love that lyric. It like really hit home for me. When I sang the song for the first time in front of my parents. I went to my parents' house in the valley. That's where I'm originally from, and I had my guitar, and it's like I wrote a new song, sang it to them, and I got emotional when I was singing it. They got emotional.
oh,
It was one of those things where you just pour yourself out into a
yeah,
song, and I think those are the most important ones because those are the ones that allow you to feel happier again after something negative, because it is therapeutic. It
it
allowed me
is.
to feel better and stronger, which is hard to do in just a regular conversation with someone.
It really is. And now I can sing this song to people if they ever ask like, "How are you feeling?" I'm like, "I can't say it, but Juliana can." So
I love it. Yes, that's epic. Yes, please.
of
That's
course.
so great.
Um, and Burn is also your most recent single. I know you've been, correct me if I'm wrong, you've been holding on to it for a little bit. So why did you decide like to release it just a month after Call It Quits? Does that mean we're gonna get new songs every month for a while? No, I'm just kidding.
It actually does. It does mean that I will be
Oh, it
releasing
does.
songs monthly. Yes. So
Amazing.
yeah, you caught on.
I was kind of like joking, but okay, awesome. Great
Yeah,
surprise.
I'll be releasing new stuff. I've been very busy, of course, in a good way. Burn, the reason I wanted to hold on to that is because there were a couple tweaks in the production that we were working on that I just wanted it to be absolutely perfect. And that could, especially because the song meant a lot. I mean, I was going through a depression mentally, like my mental health wasn't where it should be, and I was going through the first breakup of my life, like the first real breakup of my life. And so for that, I felt I needed it to be the most perfect production possible for it. So I kind of went through different things. I actually changed up some of the melodies depending on like where I was in my life. So it was kind of a song that took a little bit longer to write. But I'm really glad that it progressed the way it did. Originally, it was a little bit too electronic in the production, so we ended up bringing in a guitar player who I'm very close friends with. He's extremely talented, went to Berklee College of Music, came in, put guitar, like real guitar over the track, and it just brought it back down to reality a little bit more so that you could focus on what the lyrics were. And I think that was the biggest thing. I didn't want to divert from what the lyrics are saying because they hold weight, in my opinion. And so that was kind of the reason it took a little bit longer. And I also felt like I just was going through some personal things where I didn't want to release anything at that moment because I felt I wasn't in the right headspace to release anything. And I feel like I finally got to the point now where I know exactly what I want, exactly what I'm doing. I'm old enough to understand the music industry. I've gone through the music industry in the past when I was younger. I know what works, what doesn't work. So I just felt more confident in general releasing music. And I think that's kind of also another reason I wanted to hold off on Burn and release it at the right exact moment. When quarantine hit, I had this song and I was like, this is a perfect song to release right now. I feel like we're all kind of going through this peak of emotion where it's just a lot of stress and people's mental health are getting tested every single day more than ever right now, especially with having to be alone so often. I think that's really hard.
It
So
is.
and everyone and people's health is compromised. I mean, it's a hard time that we're living in. It's not easy. And so I thought this song specifically, because it kind of talks about me getting through my depression and getting through a really hard breakup, I think that was for me, the perfect time to release something like this to the world so that they know you can come out of something negative. You can come out of a depression. You can get to the other side. And we will, hopefully soon. And, it's like,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. But like, just know that again, there's comfort in knowing you're not alone. So I think it was a timely song release, in my opinion, and I wanted to make sure it resonated with people the best it could.
It did. And it's so important, I think, for artists to kind of gauge when a song should be released. So props to you as well for,
Thank
you know,
you.
doing all that thinking.
Holding it out.
Yeah, no, I love it, and I'm so excited that we're gonna get new singles for a little bit every month or so, and for everyone to keep in touch with that, as well as just any fun updates on virtual shows, or hopefully we'll see
Definitely.
one day in-person shows. Do you just want to recap all your social media?
Yeah. My social media, just like say what the names are and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my Instagram is just Juliana. It's __ Juliana with 4 underscores. My Twitter is Juliana Music. My TikTok is also just Juliana. It's like very simple.
No, I love it. So simple.
Yeah, and then Facebook is just Juliana Musician. So, and then my website is always up to date with new videos and songs as well. And my website is super easy. It's just thisisjuliana.com. And so if you ever want to look for new music, which will be released monthly, so just keep a mental note as well. But that will always be on my website. And I always put everything in my bio on Instagram as well, so that you can just directly click to stuff. But um, yeah, I will always be posting new things, new up-to-date stuff, new videos, new songs. So I hope you guys get ready and are excited, because I'm super excited.
Yes, I am super excited as well, and I'm sure everyone watching will be too. And I'll put all the links in the description as well, just because I
And
know there are a lot, but that way
yeah,
there's
there's a
no
lot.
confusion. No, I love that you're on like every platform. That's awesome.
Definitely.
Well, thank you again so much for speaking with me. This was so fun.
Thank you. This was so great. I hope we get to do it again soon. That would be amazing. And
I would love that. As soon as I'm back in LA and it's safe, I'd love to do like a cute little
yes,
interview over coffee. I have a bunch of those plans for when it's safe. I think it will be so fun. So,
sign me up. I'll be there. I love coffee.
no, me too. I know. I was thinking, well, we could do like lunch, and I'm like, no, coffee. We're doing coffee.
Yeah,
Better.
I love that. Give us some energy, right? That's
Exactly. I
amazing.
might start talking too fast though, and then you'll have to be like, Ava, slow down, and I'll be like, okay, sorry.
Same, me too. It's okay. I love
Amazing.
that. Well,
Well,
thank you for everything. This was so great. And hopefully we get to meet in person soon in LA. That would be amazing.
of course, yeah, I'll send you a DM when I'm back, and I'd love to set something up.
Yes, please do. Thank you for everything, and enjoy your day. Enjoy the sunshine, and we'll talk soon.
Of course, you too.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye, love.